If the man who abducted you as a kid, the one you beat with the telephone, strangled with its cord, and killed by snapping his neck, crawled out of his grave hell-bent on annoying you with random payphone calls, and torturing your little sister to death, how would you lay his to rest for good? The Grabber's back, and he's got mad ice skating skills. If you thought being chained up in his basement was bad, let me tell you, you do not want to be caught out on the ice against this guy. But how? Didn't Finney give the Grabber an Instagram chiropractic adjustment?
Deep breath in.
Well, yeah, but as with the kids Finn spoke to on the black phone, dead is just a word, and Gwen's dreams are apparently a portal to hell. In this How to Beat video, I'm gonna break down the mistakes made by Finn, Gwen, and of course, the Grabber, what they should have done, and ultimately figure out how to beat the undead Grabber in the black phone too. We start out following Finn, coping well with his past trauma by beating the hell out of a kid for taunting him and smoking the devil's lettuce. Can you really blame him? The kid was talking shit. His sister Gwen doesn't seem to be over the whole incident either. She's having nightmares of 3 different children at the Alpine Lake youth camp getting butchered by a psycho. In her unconscious state, she hears a phone ringing and tries to sleepwalk towards the source, but is woken up by Finn. The first clue to the severity of her situation is how her skin is freezing cold. Seemingly every night, she's getting these nightmares, progressively becoming more and more entranced in them, suckered into the sound of the ringing at the Grabber's old love shack. Thankfully, Finn followed her out there. Gwen tells him about the Alpine Lake youth camp, about how their mom called her from there, about her nightmares of the slain kids. The next morning, she convinces Finn to get a job with her as counselors in training at the camp in order to investigate the potential source of her disturbances. Gwen, her new boyfriend Ernesto, and Finn all make it to the camp just as a blizzard sweeps in and snows them in deep. The camp leader, Armando, tells them that their 3 dumb were the only ones that didn't get the memo that the camp was canceled on account of the snowpocalypse. Apparently, they're going to be snowed in deep for the entire weekend. Things get weird right off the rip. Finn gets a phone call from the derelict payphone outside.
Who is this?
Hello, Finney.
And Gwen has her worst nightmare yet too. What's really messed up is that it wasn't just a nightmare. The scorched kid that grabbed her arm burned her in IRL. Nerds. Bad smoking habits die hard, but they don't have to. Sometimes breaking a habit isn't just about willpower. It's about having something better to reach for instead. Fume, the sponsor of today's video, gives you that alternative.
Yes, science!
Fume isn't just another vape, e-cig, or nicotine product. Fume has no smoke, no vapor, no nicotine. It's non-toxic, guilt-free, natural flavored air that actually tastes good. Physiologically, going cold turkey's hard on the brain. Physiologically, satisfying your oral fixation through Fume's passive diffusion system can more effectively rewire your brain circuitry from bad habit to the good habit. I really like how the flavored air is on the subtle side. It feels more natural. I can use Fume throughout the day or during social occasions without getting a headache or feeling too overstimulated. Maybe it's because I've aged into sophistication more, but I'm not trying to audition for a How It Feels to Chew 5 Gum commercial.
How it feels to chew 5 gum.
Crisp mint is refreshing. Fidgeting with the magnetic twisty end is pleasing, and the package is so premium, I feel high class drawing on it. Over 700,000 people have already added Fume to their daily routine, and I totally get why. It's simple, satisfying, and doesn't come with any of the downsides of smoking or vaping. And right now, if you order the Journey Pack using my code NERDEXPLAINS, you'll get a free Fume topper. So, if you've been thinking about changing your habits, this is the perfect first step. Go to tryfume.com/nerdexplains or scan the QR code on screen to grab yours today. The next morning, Finn gets another phone call from the 3 dead kids. None of them remembers how they died or where they even are, other than contextually they're in some sort of limbo land. All they know is that it is cold and dark. Gee, I'm stumped. I mean, looking out across this vast iced-over lake, I just can't seem to figure out where the grabber would have hid these bodies. Putting my thinking cap on, it is possible that their corpses could be located in some sort of meat freezer, or maybe a well-designed igloo, or I don't know, under the frozen lake. Knowing what you know about the grabber, how he buried the bodies in the basement at the house across the street, he's quite sentimental about the souls that he's destroyed. He derives constant satisfaction from keeping their remains in relatively close proximity. Could the bodies be buried in the ground somewhere around the camp? Definitely, but that would be more difficult to keep secret in some ways. The other counselors hiking around the premises, the smell, animals digging up the remains, soil is generally less controllable. Anchoring them down in the depths of the dark, icy lake keeps them close. They're less likely to be stumbled upon. Animals can't dig them up, and while an obvious search location for investigators, it's also an extremely difficult one during the winter months due to the darkness and frigid waters. Still, it is an incredibly reckless dump site because a thorough and dedicated search team will dive into the lake to look for the bodies of 3 murdered children. At least you would think. Apparently, after those kids went missing, the police did search the camp, but not the lake. Why? Because it was iced over. They actually ruled it out as a dump site, figuring there was no way anyone could break through the ice and shove a body under. Was Officer Doofy leading the investigation? Jesus Christ. Ever heard of an auger? You know, like the one sitting in the camp's supply closet that camp staff had access to. You idiots. It's unbelievably preposterous to not search the lakes. You're telling me nobody even searched the lakes after the ice thawed in the summer? Ridiculous. Really, the grabber should have never murdered kids at the camp that he was working at to begin with. The staff are gonna be the primary suspects. Even worse, if the bodies are found in the lake, he's gonna be suspect number 1. As Mando states later, Wild Bill Hickok was in charge of the ice skating events. The lake was kind of his zone, along with the tool shed where the auger was kept. The first rule of serial killing is to target victims which you have no connection with. If he was adamant about doing so, it would have been smarter to frame another counselor, find out what they had access to, where they liked to go, their favorite spots around camp, and then plant evidence on them. If the investigation started drifting towards you, you could drop some hints to the evidence that you planted, despite the children yelling at Finn for him to find them, and Gwen having nightmares where these kids are floating under an icy lake. They kinda meandered around camp aimlessly while completely disregarding the lake as a dump site. At least until the nightmare on Alpine Street drastically escalated in severity to exorcist levels. Not that they could have possibly known that the grabber is alive. Kind of. Can physically attack them by using Gwen's spiritual sight as a portal back to the land of the living. Nor that he's able to because he's drawing on the power of those tormented children that have never been given a proper burial. Even being able to figure out that those dead kids were real and most likely sunk in the lake, there's not much else that they could have known about the situation or done to prevent Gwen from getting ragdolled by Freddy Grabber. Ernesto and the staff hear her screaming and rush in to find her flying around in the air. Hard to blame them for not immediately doing something. What the f do you even do? Whatever demon possessing her is gonna Liu Kang bicycle kick me out the back door. Just when it looks like Gwen's about to get cooked, Ernesto leaps into action. He and Mustang hold her off just long enough for Finn to arrive, causing the grabber to release her and slink back into the shadows. Mando holds an all-hands staff meeting. Gwen tells them about her dreams, how sometimes they show her the future, other times the dead shows her things from the past, and as of tonight, occasionally, their dead killer tries to drag her straight to hell through a Blodgett 1060 double-deck pizza oven. When Finn looks through old staff photos, he realizes that one of the counselors Mando knew as Wild Bill Hickok was actually the grabber. The 3 children Gwen's been dreaming about were his first victims. That's when Gwen concludes that the reason the grabber's spirit is haunting them is because those 3 kids were never found and laid to rest. find them, give them a proper burial, and the Grabber's spiritual connection to the physical realm is as severed as that boy's head. Their plan is to search and recover the kids' bodies at dawn. In the meantime, everybody's gonna split up and isolate themselves as much as possible.
Very funny, Mustang.
After their conversation, just that night, you think Mustang is playing sick jokes on you. Luckily, nothing really happened besides a snowman splattering on his window. The next morning, they get to work, plowing the snow off the lake, taking a flashlight to the ice. Unfortunately, they didn't find anything all day. All that working's gonna make Gwen awfully sleepy.
If you have another nightmare, we'll wake you.
What if you can't?
Then fight back. I mean, it's your dream, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not exactly a proven strategy, dog. Finn and Ernesto take turns watching her, ready to wake her if she starts flying into walls or getting mysteriously wounded. My strategy would be to get her away from Alpine Lake, where the Grabber's powers are strongest. Yes, she was dreaming back home before, but not this intensely. It's clearly escalating, so it stands to reason that she'd be safer off the mountain. Gwen is vulnerable while asleep, and not just her, everybody is. The Grabber can use her spiritual sight as a portal to hurt everyone. She needs to go back to her dad's house. Finn can stay with her while the others continue the search. Honestly, everyone should leave the mountain until summer, then return to find the bodies. If the Grabber's still attacking Gwen from afar, they can just go back up and try to finish what they started. In the meantime, grab some no-dos, keep Gwen busy through the night, do not overwork her during the day, and keep her full of caffeine when needed.
God, Jimmy, this some serious gourmet shit.
There's no reason she can't go 2 days without sleep to give the team extra time to search without interference. Gwen falling asleep that night is absurd and just puts everyone at risk for no reason. In her dream, Gwen follows her mom. The Grabber shows her that he killed their mother after realizing that she had discovered how he murdered the little paper boy Billy. Cool. Glad we tied up that loose end. Then the Grabber attacks her, but she escapes through the freezer, helped by one of the dead kids. In the process, she's wounded by an axe to the arm, and Ernesto completely fails to wake her up. All they do is yell, "Gwen, please wake up." Dude, slap her, throw cold water on her face, pinch her really hard, blast running up that hill into her ears, waterboard her, because nothing quite wakes you up like the feeling of drowning. Though she did literally take an axe to the arm and still didn't wake up. Gwen escapes in her dreamscape to the icy lake, where Mando's dumb is out there, alone, at night, still looking for bodies. No shot he finds one. Oh, he found one. The only reason is that the Grabber didn't anchor the body properly. Huge mistake. There's no reason the corpse should be floating up against the ice like that. That's just amateur rigging. Because Gwen is dreaming, the Grabber can now use her as a bridge to attack her friends. He starts by breaking the ice with his axe, trying to sink Mando into the lake. After dunking Mando and holding his head underwater with his boot, the Grabber turns his attention to Gwen, wrapping the cord around her neck the same way Finn did to him.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
He lets her go, or more accurately, he whips her into a blood tornado. He could have easily killed her right there, but probably wanted to drag out her suffering as long as possible. It is not looking good, until Finn's cries for her to fight back finally cut through the dreamscape. Blah, blah, blah. You didn't bring me here. I brought myself. In a dream, I have power too. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Short-lived budget Neo wallflex moment. You might have gotten a good hero line in.
You're a disease, and I'm the cure.
But come on. You're a 16-year-old girl wearing a Patagonia puffer jacket and shopping at Limited 2 with your new boy crush. The Grabber is an undead, psychotic murder fiend with decades of experience, powered by rage, torment, revenge, and the life force of 3 dead children. He's basically a white trash Shang Tsung. No way you're beating him in a battle of spiritual power or whatever. In a dream, you have power too? Says who? Did Morpheus call you up on the payphone and tell you you were the one? There is zero evidence that you have any power at all, but fine, I guess you were right. Still lame and unbelievable. Unfortunately, she wakes up before finishing him off. Sorry, but that headbutt is not cutting it. This is not over. Gwen warns the others that Mando is in trouble on the ice. Turns out Mando's okay and tells them that he found Felix, or what's left of him. It's been a while. With one of the 3 boys found, they'll search for the other 2 at dawn to strip the grabber of his power completely. For now, they're safe because Gwen is awake. Their dad shows up, begging them to go home and leave this all behind. Finn agrees, but Gwen insists on finishing what they started. At dawn, the final search begins. They search far and wide on the lake, looking for more skulls floating just below the ice. As I'd expect, they found nothing. Logically, Wild Bill Hickok must have murdered all 3 boys in the same night, drilled a hole in the ice with the auger that he had access to, shoved their bodies into weighted barrels, and sunk them all down through the same hole. Because if he had killed just a single boy, the camp would have been shut down with cops everywhere, making it impossible for him to have killed the other 2. I mean, who would send their kid back to a camp where a child was murdered by a counselor and the killer was never found? The ice was thick, and if he killed them all in one night, it's more likely that they were dumped through the same auger hole. For one, drilling holes through the ice is labor and time intensive. The longer WBH is gone without an alibi, the more likely he is to be suspected and caught. More importantly though, creating 3 separate dump sites triples your risk of someone finding a body. If a single kid's body is found, the boys in blue are gonna be up your 1 versus 3 bodies makes no difference. Keeping them all in the same location minimizes the number of spots where someone could find them. Felix floating up to the surface must have been a fluke, a malfunction in his anchor. The other 2 are almost certainly in the same spot, just deeper down. So why hasn't anyone dived in there yet? Why haven't the cops been called? If recovering the bodies is what ends the grabber's curse, they need all the help they can get. There's no spiritual explanation needed. We have reason to believe their bodies are down in the lake. Go search it. Gwen just needs to focus on not sleeping tonight so that they can finish this. If they can't find the others, they should leave Alpine Lake and come back in the morning. It's worth trying since the grabber's power clearly grows the closer they get to the lake. Well, after wasting the entire day, they wrap for the night. But before they can make it back to the lodge, Gwen falls asleep. What? Everyone's been working harder than Gwen, and nobody else is sleepy. What the hell, Gwen? Now the grabber's free to come f*** us all up. Instead of killing Gwen, he goes for some random staff member, dragging them across the ice and slicing them up. Attacking the 2 background nobodies who've done nothing all movie is dumb. They're not even a threat. They're not even a target. Why not just kill Gwen? All you would have to do is drag her into the lake and drown her. Easy. Total missed opportunity to Iron Lotus their dad, decapitate Mondo, which would force Finn and Mustang to hold their loved ones while they died instead of helping Gwen. Wild Bill was just screwing around, and it cost him everything. Gwen dives into the hole in the ice. 1, to maybe try to wake herself up, but 2, to find the other 2 bodies in the same hole that Felix was found in. Who could have guessed? She kicks the corpse-filled barrels upward so the others can recover them. The grabber goes after Finn now, flipping the script with the same jump lasso choke move. Gwen's dad jumps in to help pull the bodies out, while Gwen distracts the grabber. Now that the bodies have been recovered, Gwen stands defiant.
I brought friends.
With the boys found, the grabber's power fades, and Gwen buries an axe in his forehead, which she rips his mask and face off. Then Finn finishes the job.
Hell isn't flames, Bill. It's ice.
Using his own line against him. Nice. But a single one-liner wasn't enough for Finn, though.
You don't scare me.
Gwen chops his leg off, and they dump him into the frozen lake. The same grave that he used for those boys all those years ago. A fitting end. Gwen closes her eyes, the walls of her dreamscape flexing. She sees the spirit world in green code. She's beginning to believe she is the one. The movie ends with Gwen answering a phone call from her mom. Apparently, she's in heaven and doing just fine. Great, I'm happy for her. Ultimately, they should have recovered the kids' bodies much sooner, sparing them all the relatively minor wounds that the grabber caused. Seriously, not a single person was killed? Weak. For that reason, I think the movie was beaten. Moral of the story? I don't know. The murderer you killed escaping hell through your sister's third eye just kinda sucks. Thanks to Fume for sponsoring this video.